Hello, welcome to live student feedback. The assignment was to write a paragraph that uses a quote. I want to add a disclaimer to this feedback. This is only done to improve your writing. If edits are shown, these are not the answer. They're not an answer to how to do this. They're only steps to help you improve what you're doing. And often you will see mistakes in the edited version, and this is because you have to edit and re-edit to make it correct. If there are a lot of problems found, this does not mean that the work is bad. This only means that the work is at an early stage and there's lots more to do on it. The idea is that writing is an iterative process. You have to keep at it and at it and at it, and you have to keep coming back to it. Some people maybe can write perfect copy straight away, but that's because they spent years and years going through this process. So on to the exercise. Okay, so this is the student feedback. This is about the inverted pyramid structure, an essay question. So it begins, when writing a feature story, the use of the inverted pyramid structure can be key to providing information in the right order. Okay, so we're not quite sure what the right order means here, but this is in particular looking at a feature story. Let's keep going. Unlike articles, features are not generally written about recent news. Okay, so features are a type of article, but anyway. But instead focus on people, places, events, meaning that great detail is required, specific information included, and concepts, points and ideas need to be recovered, I'm not sure recover from what, and repeated again with a higher level of detail. Okay, this is okay, it just needs clearing up a little bit. Bruce Porter and Timothy Ferris make this point frequently throughout their book, The Practice of Journalism, and say longer, more complicated stories can be structured by nesting two or more inverted pyramids within the overall framework. Okay, so let's just tidy this up a little bit. So maybe not when writing feature stories, but in feature stories. Make this a bit tighter. Let's put the inverted pyramid structure in feature stories as well as in news reporting. The inverted pyramid structure has been used to help provide information leaving the right order for now. Okay, unlike news stories, sometimes features in news stories. Unlike news reports, let's put this. Features are not generally written about recent news. Sometimes they are. Maybe the difference here is the level of detail. So they're not generally written about recent news, but they sometimes are. News sometimes focuses on people, places and events, and it generally does. Meaning that great detail is required. I think that's our difference. Specific information included, that's in news reports too. Concepts, points and ideas, they're covered. So this isn't really a great distinction between features and news reports. Let's perhaps focus on the idea that what we're looking at is the level of detail. Features have a greater level of detail than traditional news reports. and one way to organize this is organize. Are we in American spelling? Organize this. Okay. Organize this is through the repetition and increasing detail that is used in the pyramid, the inverted pyramid formulation for now. Okay. It's through repetition where increasing detail is used. We're repeating detail. We're increasing. Well, it's finer and finer. So finer and finer levels of detail are used. Okay, let's not repeat this one. Let's just do this. So let's see if this quote helps us. I think it's quite a good quote. Let's try this. Porter and Ferris, we don't need their first names. We don't even need to say that they frequently say this throughout their book. Let's try this to start with. Suggest that. Okay, so longer, more complicated stories can be structured by nesting two or more inverted pyramids within the overall framework. I think framework's one word really. A normal in-text reference will be Porter and Ferris, like that, but we've already put their name, so we can omit this. That's a good in-text reference. So Porter and Ferris suggests that longer, more complicated stories can be structured by nesting two or more inverted pyramids within the overall framework. Framework of what? Of a feature story, maybe. Of the feature. Try that. In other words, they go on to say means telling the story each time. So this isn't a complete sentence. What means? What means? This means. This means. Okay. So we had a missing subject and an incomplete sentence. We don't have to say they go on to say. And is this in other words? No. Really, you see, telling the story twice, each time with fresh information. The inverted pyramid tells the story more than once with fresh information and more detail. So it's not clear whether this is one inverted pyramid or two or more. Let's just try this. The use of the inverted pyramid means telling the story twice. Okay, we need a proper break there. Proper M dash, because it's the width of an M. Story twice, each time with fresh information. And then we've got, this is good, you're explaining the quote. In effect, this means the writer would begin with the basics, the outline of the story, and then repeat it later on, filling in the blanks, the holes, with information need to paint a better, brighter picture, like clues in an investigation. Okay. We don't need an effect. This means the writer begins with the basics or the outline of the story, and then repeats it later on, filling in more detail. Okay, it's not necessarily a brighter picture, it's a more detailed picture. The holes, if we're using our analogy of painting a picture, then maybe we start with a sketch and create a picture. It begins with the basics and then start and repeats on later for the more detail. The effect is to paint a more and more detailed picture based around the initial sketch. Let's use our you see, we're mixing our metaphors here. You see, like clues in an investigation, painting pictures doesn't quite work. And I think the reason it doesn't work, you've got to follow through the analogy. So, is it a clue in an investigation? Not really, because you're supposed to be clear at each stage, I think. Maybe it's creating a detective story. Okay. But maybe we're using too many analogies. So let's try and bring in our detective story analogy. Repeats of more filling in more and more detail. More and more we've got detail too many times. Let's try the synonyms: features, aspects, points, element, facts, features, more and more detail filling in, developing more aspects of the bringing in more and more information. Let's paint more and more detailed picture based around the initial sketch. Okay. Now here I think the use of the analogy breaks down a bit. You see, the idea of the inverted pyramid is you're clear at each stage, where sometimes feature articles are like detective stories. News stories are sometimes like this, but more this is the case with feature stories. So I think this needs a little bit of development, but what I think we should do is just try and tighten up this point we're trying to make in this paragraph. So to make a stronger point, I think we just emphasize that what developed in news reporting has spread into feature writing also. So although the inverted pyramid structure began in news reporting, the strength of the technique has meant that it has also been developed for use in longer feature writing. And then we've got our point about organising there. So I think that's a slightly stronger beginning. Now the bit that we need at the end is the reference, which we need. I don't know what the initials are. Porter and Ferris. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm cheating it a little bit, so it's Porter, B and Ferris, T, 1988, The Practice of Journalism, City Publisher. This goes at the end, and the references. Thank you very much.